You sit in a room where the only sound is the hum of a single naked bulb and the rhythmic tapping of a heart that thinks it beats alone. This is the Cartesian trap, the high-walled cell of the I think. In this town, the Enlightenment sold us a bill of goods, telling us that the self is a radical, autonomous unit, a solitary detective working a cold case in a vacuum. We call it the cogito, but from where I'm standing, it looks like a spiritual lockdown. It's what the scholars call conceptual incarceration. You're locked in a psychological reality where you believe you're the prior act, the main event, and the community is just a collection of extras in your private movie. But this radical autonomy is a heavy coat that doesn't keep out the chill. It's the source of that dislocation disease, a fragmentation that happens when you try to live as a solitary island in a sea that's clearly interconnected. You look in the mirror and see a stranger because you've forgotten that your reflection doesn't belong to you alone. It's the first step in a long walk through the neon-lit rain, realizing that the walls of the I are thinner than we were led to believe.
Step out of that office and into the street, and you'll see the shadows don't just fall, they merge. Down in the southern cradle, they've got a different name for the air we breathe, Ubuntu. It's the relational axiom that tells you a person is a person through other people. It's not just a nice sentiment, it's an ontological reorientation. You aren't a solo act, you're an isomorphism of the collective. In this worldview, the we comes before the I. When you look at the person across the alley, you aren't seeing a competitor for resources, you're seeing the very fabric of your own being. This is the therapeutic response to the isolation of the West. If the Cartesian model is a locked room, Ubuntu is the open plaza, where every greeting is a stitch in the social fabric. It's about the maintenance of social cohesion and the common good, moving away from the protection of individual rights as the only sacred law. We're talking about an interdependent relationship with the community, the ancestors, and the very ground under your wingtips. It's a shift from I think to we are, and it changes the way you walk through this world. You start to realize that if one of us is in the gutter, the whole neighborhood is in the dark.
In the big city, they talk a lot about civility. They use it like a cudgel, a way to keep the lid on the pot when the soup is starting to boil over. It's the myth of civility, a brand of surface-level politeness that prioritizes a quiet room over a just one. They tell the marginalized to lower their voices, to move on for the sake of a hollow unity. But that's just a way to let Isfet, the chaos and the injustice, run the show from the shadows. Now contrast that with Ma'at. In the Ma'atian tradition, speech isn't just noise, it's a tool for cosmic alignment. To be civil isn't to be quiet, it's to tell the truth. Ma'atian rhetoric demands you align your internal heart, the ib, with the external reality. There's no room for the survival mode of politeness here. When the world is out of balance, the most civil thing you can do is call out the rot. Look at the way they handled the January 6th mess, calls for healing that were really just calls for forgetting. A Ma'atian response rejects the bad faith actors because true civility is the capacity to discern the real from the unreal. It's about justice, propriety, and harmony, not just keeping your tie straight while the building burns.
We've been treating the world like a resource, a warehouse to be looted for the highest bidder. That's the northern cradle instinct, born in the cold, harsh scarcity of the ice, where survival meant conquering and taking. It's hyper-individualistic and nomadic, always looking for the next thing to own. But there's another way to see the dirt under our feet. Sheikh Anta Diop called it the southern cradle, a worldview shaped by the abundance of the Nile. It's the parental earth ethic. It rejects the idea of the individual luck principle, the lie that says your prosperity is purely self-earned and your property is your own to destroy. Instead, we look at the parental debt principle. We owe a debt to the earth as the source of our life, and that makes us stewards, not owners. Think of it as the family security rule. The earth is the family home, and if the survival of the global ecosystem is at stake, your individual entitlement has to take a back seat. You can't claim to be a master of yourself if you're acting like a dominator of the environment.
The environmental crisis isn't a technical glitch, it's an ethical failure. We have to start treating the soil like a sacred relative, an intergenerational debt that we can never truly repay, but must always honor.
The goal of this long walk isn't to get rich or get famous, it's to become a geruma, the truly self-mastered person. In the West, they think you're just a body and a brain, a meat machine chasing a paycheck. But the Kemetic view gives you more to work with, 9 elements that make up the man. You've got your Khat, the physical vessel, your Ib, the seat of your intelligence, and your Ba, the soul that transcends the physical plane. You're a complex arrangement of vital potential and ancestral links. A Geruma is the silent individual, the one who chooses wisdom and observation over being a hothead. It's about coolness of character. While the rest of the world is in a constant flux, struggling for status and acquisition, the self-mastered person is looking for oneness with nature and the spiritual source. Success isn't measured by what you have, but by the quality of your interpersonal relationships. It's the difference between the unrestrained tree, growing in an artificial garden, losing its leaves and destined for the fire, and the self-mastered tree. The latter grows in its proper cultural location, stays green through the drought, and provides shade for everyone who passes by. That's the optimal success, being a person of communal utility, clear of excess, and intentionally arranged.
Now comes the part where you stop being a spectator and start being a practitioner. I'm challenging you to take one of those Maatian virtues, let's pick reciprocity, and put it to work. We live in a world of Isfet, where the rhythm of cause and effect is ignored for short-term gain. Look at the political polarization or the climate struggle. It's all a lack of balance. Your task is to apply reciprocity to an ethical dilemma in your own backyard. When you encounter a toxic interaction, remember the spirituality of discernment. You have the option to walk away, to shake the dust off your shoes, not out of cowardice, but to preserve your internal balance. Reject the chaos. Move from being a dominator to a caretaker. Shift your focus from the Cartesian I to the relational we. Seek that coolness of character that marks the Geru Ma. Don't just study these frameworks like they're artifacts in a museum. Live them. Align your heart with the truth and act as if the survival of the global family depends on your next move, because it probably does. The city is full of noise, but you're going to be the one who listens to the rhythm of the universe and stays in step. Now get out there and make the Mott real.